All right. It's a great day in South Florida. My name is Chris Igo, and today we're going to get right into it because there is so much misinformation that exists out there that is confusing so many different people, and it's massively impacting the psychology of the consumer, of buyers, of sellers, and of real estate professionals. And there are so many phenomenal content creators out there that are putting out market updates and constant news updates related to the housing market, which I admire. But then separate to that, there are so many other creators that are out there that are just adding more fuel to the dumpster fire of fear that it's getting more and more challenging to be able to decipher what's news and what's noise. And yes, I'm rocking A.D. Henderson FAU gear today. I'm actually headed right now to chaperone a field trip for my daughter, so I'm pretty excited about that because none of those opportunities were available since COVID, and this is the first one that I'm able to participate in, and so I'm really excited. But let's get back into it. So I noticed yesterday that Redfin had put out an article, and man, it's sunny out. It is gorgeous out here in South Florida, 73 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. This is exactly why people come here in the winter. And trust me when I tell you, it is snowbird season, which means the traffic patterns, which are already bad, are 10 times worse. And it looks like there's an accident to my left, so I am really gonna have to pay attention to the road. And hopefully those people are okay. All right, that was a little bit of aggressive driving on my part, but hey, I'm on the right track. So back to Redfin. There was an article published recently, and they're talking about some of the leading indicators that they're monitoring. Now, Redfin has a tremendous amount of data that they have access to, and so does Zillow, and so does Google, because people type in whatever search terms they type in. And so on a real estate portal like Redfin or Zillow, they're going to be able to track all kinds of data related to the housing market. So the amount of views, the amount of showings, the amount of inquiries, the amount of interest, they're going to have very granular data as it relates to that information. And then Google, obviously, is the world's biggest search engine. They're going to have all kinds of data, all kinds of deep analytical data as to what concerns people might have based on the search terms that they're searching. But in this article that I was reading about Redfin, it was talking about leading indicators that exist in the housing market, and that those leading indicators are search terms that are found in Google. Well, full disclosure, I'm not an analyst, and I'm not smart enough to pretend that I know how relevant those search terms are as it relates to being a leading economic indicator. But I certainly don't need Google to confirm what I already know, which is that people are terrified about the unknown, and that people are very concerned about the affordability of the housing market, and that people are very concerned about interest rates skyrocketing. Now, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I've been talking about interest rates going significantly higher for months, because it was obvious to me that it was going to happen. All of the quantitative easing, all of the stimulus, all of the artificial things that were done to bring interest rates down, to stimulate the economy, well, they were done big time, and they worked. And we got a housing market boom. And it created a horrible dynamic for buyers. There was massive competition on very limited inventory. And in the heat of that frenzy, there was no time. The buyer did not have any time whatsoever. So you didn't have the opportunity to go out there and look at multiple homes and think about what you wanted to do and shop and negotiate. You had to take action instantly. And in most cases, in order to win the bid in this market, you had to write contracts prior to even seeing the property. And that was highly unusual. I've never experienced anything like it, but that's what needed to be done in order to buy a house in the frenzy of that market. Well, that's not what it's like today. But that does not mean that the market is crashing. But it absolutely means that the temperature of the market and the dynamics of the market have shifted radically. But in the article, Redfin goes on to say, and confirms what I already know to be true, there are less buyers, there are less closings, there's more inventory, and the homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer than they were in the past, at least in my market. And as I've said many times in the past, all markets are not the same. So what's going on in my market is not necessarily going to be what's happening in Austin, Texas, or Boise, Idaho, or Sacramento, California, or any other market in the country. It's just what's happening in my market. But there's so much content, and I put it out myself, talking about the housing market crash. And what I find to be very interesting is that Zillow just came out with their 2023 forecast, and they revised it to the upside. Now, Zillow is talking in national terms. They're not talking in hyper-local terms, at least not in this forecast. But what's very interesting is that they're not calling for depreciation whatsoever. They're calling for something close to, and I'm probably going to get this number wrong because I'm not looking at the article, but it was something close to 2% appreciation. Now, I'll go back and fact check. It may be 1.7, 1.8, but I'm rounding up. 2% appreciation for 2023. That's what Zillow is calling for. So I'm going to be the first one to go out there on a limb and say there is no housing market crash. And yes, there's a lot more economic pain that's coming. And at some point, will there be forced sales based on the fact that people get laid off and can no longer afford their homes? That's a 100% certainty. But I suspect that's going to take 18 to 24 months. And in the interim, no crash. But what we will see is a return to normal appreciation. And I'm calling that something like 2 to 4%. I could be wrong. It could be flat. It could go negative. I don't know. But what I do know is every home that we've taken in the last month, which if you believe the noise and if you believe the hype that a lot of people are promoting, you'd say there's no way those homes would sell. But the fact is, each one of those properties has gone under contract, if not at list, very close to it, in roughly 2 to 3 weeks, which is certainly not what the dynamics of the market looked like when the market was on fire and there was a frenzy because interest rates were so low. But it's a return to a much more normal and certainly more balanced market. Now, I've been hunting for deals myself, and I've been searching for specific types of inventory, and I did a search yesterday looking for bank-owned properties for sale in the MLS. And I've seen all kinds of content creators out there talking about all of these foreclosures, and I'm guilty of it too. I found some half-price homes out there, and I'm always looking for deals. But in Boynton Beach, the city that I live in, there was only one single-family home that was bank-owned, REO, for sale in the MLS. One. Will that shift and change as the market and the economy and employment changes? Absolutely. But that's what it looks like for today, right now. Now, I hope you found this content valuable, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, subscribe. If you've got any questions or concerns, leave them in the comments down below, and I will get back to you. And please check out my next video, because I suspect you will love it a lot. And until next time, peace.